Good morning. Today is Monday of the third week of Lent. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Glory to you, O Lord. Jesus came to Nazareth and spoke to the people in the synagogue, and he said, "Truly I tell you, no prophet is accepted in the prophet's hometown. But the truth is, there were many widows in Israel in the time of Elijah, when the heavens were shut up for 3 years and 6 months, and there was a severe famine all over the land. Yet Elijah was sent to none of them, except to a widow at Zarephath in Sidon. There were also many lepers in Israel in the time of the prophet Elisha, and none of them was cleansed except Naaman the Syrian." When they heard this, all in the synagogue were filled with rage. They got up, drove him out of town, and led him to the brow of the hill on which their town was built, so that they might hurl him off the cliff. But Jesus passed through the midst of them and went on his way. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Part of this Gospel is just so true. When I always notice when I'm home in the summer we usually get as a family all together in the summer, and when I'm home with all of my siblings, it's kind of funny how we all find our own roles again. I'm not someone who's quiet. I'm not someone who doesn't say too much. But when my family's around, I turn into the third child. And my older brother and sister sort of run the show, and I'm much more withdrawn. It's a different personality, but it's the one I had growing up. So when we go to our home, whatever that is, it's hard to break out of the mold in which we're in. We hear Jesus talking about this today. But I think he's talking about something much more profound than that. Jesus is telling us that when we go back to our sources and talk about the gospel, it makes people uncomfortable. Here Jesus is talking about the gospel, and they're filled with rage because he's saying, you don't accept the gospel. You don't accept me, Jesus Christ. And so it's when you think about this, when people preach the gospel as it is, it makes people uncomfortable. And Jesus is preaching, reminding them that they don't have faith or that they don't follow the Lord, makes them feel uncomfortable. And herein lies the message. The gospel should give us joy, the joy of the gospel, as Pope Francis says. But the gospel should also move us and make us feel slightly uncomfortable and call us to something more. We can choose two responses to the gospel. One is to try our best to listen and move as it urges us, or we can reject it. Many people reject the words of Jesus Christ. Love your neighbor. Many people reject the words of Christ. Forgive those you need to forgive. Many people reject the words of Christ. Love the stranger, the widow, and the orphan. Today we're called to let the gospel pull us closer to God by putting aside our prejudices, our closed-mindedness, and let him pull us. It might not be comfortable, but it's the way of God. God bless.